I remember being in Trafalgar Square once with the lovely Bill Pertwee, that's right. We were both very much the worse for wear, we really were. You see, we'd been drinking all afternoon in the Colony Rooms in Dean Street, you see. One of our favourite watering holes. Anyway, I was staggering past the National Gallery and I tottered up to a police constable and I said, "Would you mind awfully directing me to the nearest Alcoholics Anonymous?" Well, he looked at me and he said, "Why, sir, would you like to join?" I said, "No, I want to resign." I have to say, I think Arthur Lowe is really one of the funniest fellows I think I've ever met. I remember we were filming an episode of Dad's Army. It was the one where we convert the butcher's van into an armoured vehicle. Well, Arthur, you see, was terribly jealous of Clive Dunn for getting to drive this van. I mean, he really wanted to drive it. So during his lunch break, he took the van for a little spin around the farmyard. Well, he ran over a cockerel. He was most distraught. He went up to the farm, he knocked on the farmer's door, and he said, "I really am most awfully sorry, but I would like to replace your cockerel." And the farmer said, "Well, you're perfectly welcome, the hen's around the back." So what did I do before I was called up into the army? Well, I joined the ARP, that's right. I was an air raid warden in Dolphin Square. Hard to believe, I know. It was my job to march from door to door shouting, "Put that light out." My job was very, very simple, you see. I was entrusted with trying to keep everybody calm during an air raid. And my technique was very, very simple. What I would do is I'd gather everyone around, you see, as the bombs were raining down all around us. And I'd say, "Now listen here, it really would be awfully nice if we could all just try and keep as calm as possible, don't you think? Thank you so much." And it seemed to do the trick. I remember when I first worked for the Bolting brothers, for some reason they were under the impression that I had never made a film before, you see. Well, I'd made about 23 by then. So I remember John Bolting took me on a little tour of the studio, to show me the ropes. And he pointed to the boom microphone and he said, "That's a microphone, Johnny. That's how we're going to record your voice." And I said, "Oh, how nice." When Joan went off with Tony Hancock, I had no idea if she was ever coming back. It really was an awful time. I was left alone in the flat, just staring out of the window, drinking alone. It really was absolutely awful. I was 56 years old. The phone had stopped ringing. Even the bit parts had dried up. I began to think to myself, my God, is this how it's all going to end? Sitting alone, drinking in an empty flat, a silent telephone, or I don't know, slumped in an armchair in an old folks' home, rambling on about past glories with an album full of yellowing cuttings. Do you remember John Le Mesurier? Oh yes, he was that chap who played stiff upper lip characters in those 50s films. Whatever happened to him? But one day, the phone did ring. When Michael Mills, the head of BBC Comedy, first read the script of Dad's Army, he said, "You simply must try and get John Le Mesurier. He suffers so well."